Hello, Travis with Tetelestai. Going to talk today about chart of accounts, which is really the backbone of bookkeeping, and how to set that up specifically for multiple properties and real estate investors. Let's take a look here. So what's most common is to what I see the most is people booking everything with separate properties by address. And I'll show you what happens when you do that. I'm just going to go back in time a little bit in case we want to do some comparisons. Okay, so let's say, actually, I'm going to enter these on the chart of accounts because there's a bit of a problem with QuickBooks has a problem sometimes holding the account names if you enter it straight from the journal entry. They might fix that bug. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and I'm going to make a fixed asset for the, let's see, 123 Main Street. Okay, there's the building. Now I'm going to make one for the land. Same thing, fixed asset, land. Then I'm going to, now let's say another. We'll just do a couple properties just to show you. Obviously, the more properties you have, the more this makes a difference. Okay, and then you'd have depreciation, you could have improvements, you could have all other accounts, but let's just get this started. So let's say we're going to book Main Street building, we purchase it, okay, and we're going to allocate the land. Okay, and we also purchase another building. And the land. Okay, and just a moment, I want to make sure everything's working correctly. Okay. And let's say this, we're just putting this on the books. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and actually I'll just leave this open so we can come back to it if we want. leave this open because we'll probably come back to this too. So let's take a look at the balance sheet. Got a bit of a lag here. Okay, what date did I do that? 1/1/24. Okay, so we'll just look at that one date now. Okay, there we go. So fixed assets, building land, building land. Okay, doesn't look all that bad, really, but it's starting to look a little bit messy. You can see how this isn't sustainable, or at least it shouldn't be. You'll end up with a balance sheet that's just goes on and on and on, especially when you add depreciation, you add your liabilities, your loans. Very difficult at a glance to look at your financials by property. Let's look at a better way to do this. And again, we're just looking at the balance sheet now. There's many things that would apply to the P&L as well. But let's look at instead if we did this. And there's all kinds of ways in naming convention you could do, but let's just start here. Okay, so we're going to say buildings. And you can see how this seems strange maybe at first, because you might think, well, how am I going to tell which building and in which land, right? Oops. Never fear. Okay, so what's important here is that we turn on classes. You could also use customers. It depends on your QBO subscription. You need to have, I think, at least plus, maybe advanced to activate classes. If you don't, if you have simple start, you could use customers. We want to turn this on, track classes. If you want a warning, that might help you. I'm going to leave that off for now. So now let's go back to our journal entry. You're going to see the difference here. So instead of this, we're just going to say buildings. Actually, I need to refresh this so we get our class field available. Okay, I lost it. Okay, so we're going to go here. Buildings. Here's where our classes come in. We got Main Street. Okay, and we got land. We got Main Street. Let's get this opened up a little bit. Okay. We got another building. And we'll make this one different property. And we got land. What happened here? There we go. Okay, I'm just going to save this. Now let's look at our balance sheet again. Okay, so starting to get a little cleaner, right? We just cut our levels, our sub accounts in half. Again, let's say you have a dozen properties. you would have 24 of these, right? All these addresses, big mess. Now we just have 2. But we might say, okay, well, that's nice, but how do I tell what property is what? So that's where when we go here, we display by class, and now we can look. Here we go. Bank Street, Main Street. Now there's not specified, checking, fine. That doesn't need to be associated with the property. We can also go in here and filter. So we can say, I want to look at just one property, right? Or the other. You can do that, and you can save it. I'd recommend saving at least, something like balance sheet by class, right? So that should help quite a bit with your chart of accounts. Now there's a lot more to it to maintain this, but that should get you started. The alternative is using customers. So let's look at what that would look like. So let's take away the class for each one of these. Okay, and let's make a customer. For each property. Okay, now we have a book to customers instead of classes. Take a look and see what that looks like. If I refresh this and we're still running it by class, we're probably going to see that there's nothing categorized to classes anymore. Right? Yeah, not specified. So that's not helping us too much, but let's go to customers and now let's see. There we go. Looks just like what we looked at with classes. So that accomplishes basically the same thing. There's some other functionality with projects that is makes customers more useful than classes. If you're booking things, let's say instead of, well, let's do it this way. Let's say you're booking a flip. And you want to do this as a cost of goods sold account. Oh, it doesn't really matter. And you're going to book to the P&L. So you could do the same thing. You could say flips purchase price. Let's just do this for now. In flips, usually you're buying and selling within 12 months. So it makes sense just to book it to the P&L. Let's look at the profit and loss. You do it that way. Of course, you'd have other accounts, holding costs, debt service, buying costs, selling costs, sale price. Let me just look at that one day again. Okay, so we have our purchase price in there. I think we had customers. Yep. So there we go. So we can see our COGS, our cost of goods sold by customer, by property, could be class as well. Either way, that achieves what we want. So it gives us another dimension, another layer to our financials, which is really helpful. I wouldn't recommend using customers and classes. That can get a little messy, but that should give you the basics on how to use classes or customers, how to set up your chart of accounts. Any questions, comments, concerns, conundrums, post in the comments for the video, and I'm happy to answer.